Now imagine waking up and becoming anything you desire, and what then would you choose to become? Well, for Khanyi Thonjeni, the answer was simple. She is a candle maker, and she not only took the leap but is thriving in an industry that is still very much in the dark. And it's been a hard journey, but she and her scented Wick business are blazing. She joins me in studio. Khanyi, I think you live up to your name. Good afternoon to you, because Khanyi uletu Khanya.
Yes.
So you've become that light of the world, so to speak. Give us the history, the story before the glory, as they say.
Okay, so I basically was sitting in a lecture room this one time, and I was like, you know, I wonder how they make candles. Literally, that's where the idea came from, and I went on YouTube and I Googled, and there was this whole community of candle makers, and I literally now was ensued in how it was actually made. But I didn't really want to make it a business back then. It was more of a hobby, but I actually found out that I really do like the craft, and then we started making it a business, and that's why we named it Centered Wick.
All right, so what were you doing prior to being a candle maker? And then you can talk us through that skill set that had enabled you to build a sustainable business.
So I was working at a business school. I'm still working there now. So I basically, at the current moment, I'm managing a youth program. However, before I was a session producer. So it was mainly like a 9-to-5 job. But I wanted to do a side hustle just like everybody else. After like 2020, I was like, what else can I do?
Yeah. And I mean, it's a very fertile environment at the moment, with load shedding, etc. And I think also rekindling that romanticism. You know, just candlelit dinners don't have to be plain with the standard stick candles, as it were.
Of course.
And so yours has even got some fruity detail to it. Talk us through your product range.
So we've got our signature range, which is the black and white jars. And then we've got our decadent collection. And our decadent collection really showcases the craft of the art. So I basically make candles that look like dessert. They are not edible. But you can burn them, and they're a really good conversation piece. They're really great for gifting. I've got a cupcake candle here. I made it from scratch. We've also got a citronella candle as well as a strawberry delight candle. So that's more of the showcasing of the craft and what you can do with wax. The signature collection is more what people are into. They like the look and feel of it, the aesthetics, and obviously, like you said, the romancing part. People like this when they're bathing, people like this when they're on dates, but most importantly, people give them out for gifts, you know. But I think what's most important, and why I came up with the signature range, because it signifies a lot of positivity. And as you can see on my branding, most of the labels say exhaled out, inhale courage. I had to come here on this show and exhaled out and inhale courage, because you find a lot of people go out there, they're all go-getters, and people are trying to do the most with their lives, whether it's entrepreneurship or at work. And I really find that it's important to recenter yourself, not only just light
and I mean,
the candle.
don't be fooled necessarily when people have this exterior, you know, portraying confidence, courage, etc. You're peddling frantically beneath the surface, while you're keeping the obvious calm, so to speak. But the decadent range really looks good enough to eat. Is that where the flavor, the fragrance, and the aroma is hidden? So
they're all fragranced, right? So with the decadent range, for example, with our citronella, it's got a citronella fragrance, so it's also insect repellent. But it also really smells good and creamy, and it really does give you that thing where you want to eat it. But like I said, it's not edible. With our cupcake range, it's a completely different scent. I also wanted to make scents that don't look like the obvious. So it kind of takes you on a journey, like you ask yourself, what is this? So that's the type of fragrances we have in there.
Yeah, we were just touching on the subject of purpose and living a purposeful life, knowing what it is that you're alive for and what inspires you. And I think that the environment is probably conducive now, where you have so many options, but support is also necessary. So when all the pieces come together, you are then able to achieve your dreams. But you had to prepare. And I want to get back to the preparation stage of getting to where you are.
So, it's not that difficult because, like you said, there's a lot today. You're exposed to so much information. I think the important part is if you find something that you're passionate about, you won't be lacking information. So you definitely need to do your research. You need to prepare. In terms of how to make the candles, you basically melt wax and you put your fragrances, but there's so much more that goes into it because you constantly need to keep testing. You constantly need to align your wick size with your jar size. So a lot of people will be like, oh, you just melt the candle and put it in a jar. There's so much more to the art and the science of it.
Yeah, and the pressure of sustaining, now that you had the vision and you pursued it, you also obviously wanted to grow,
yes,
if not intergenerationally. So, to keep the business afloat,
yes,
the responsibility that comes with paying employees and
yes,
suppliers, and making sure logistics are in place. Talk us through that.
So once again, it's so important to do your research. It can be very difficult to run a 9-to-5 and be an entrepreneur at the same time, but you need to kind of find that balance. And it's important to know exactly in your business what you need to focus on in which season. So for me, in order for me to come here, for example, maybe I need to generate more sales. Then I need to have a plan behind how do we generate more sales, or how do we get more exposure for the brand. And I think this is a perfect platform for me to get more exposure and more sales as well.
So the sales funnel is very important because that's where the rands and cents come from.
Yes.
But also the aesthetics, the optics or appeal. Mm-hmm. So if it doesn't look of value or quality, then people are unlikely to buy. Are you readily accessible?
Yes. And that's where you really need to understand your customers. So I go to markets. We're at the Melrose Market on Saturdays and Fridays. I go to various markets around Joburg. I really want to start branching out even more and go to markets in like Cape Town and Durban because there's a different clientele there. There's a different atmosphere because there's a lot of stuff that people from other regions that complain and say, oh, we don't get the stuff that's in Joburg. We'd like it to be in Cape Town. So I'm very much accessible in terms of markets. We've just recently launched our online store. It's www.centeredwick.co.za. So we're also accessible online as well on that platform.
Yeah. And do you also, in terms of gifting, are you able to deliver? Do you have, for example, a courier service, etc., that you have partnered with?
So we currently use Aramex. We use Paxi as well. Paxi is very quick and convenient. We also use the Uber delivery. But most of the time I really like to meet my clients. I like meeting them, so I'll actually drive there and actually get them something and deliver it to their door.
And just roughly, a price range before we let you go.
So price ranges, the signature collections, the candles go for 280, and then the
That's 2,080 rand.
No, 280 rand.
Maybe you need to rework your pricing. I mean, with the competition out there. Okay, 280 rand.
Yes, I think I'm actually quite reasonable in comparison to the competition. But once again, it depends what kind of ingredients you're using.
Okay.
So, and then there's the diffusers, which are 250. The decadent collection, there's also variety. The cupcake candles are 120. The bubble candles are also 120, and then the dessert ones here are 200.
Really, really appreciate it. So you're going off to the Rosebank Market now?
Yes.
So if anybody wants to see you, meet you in person, prospective clients, for that matter, can all head to the Rosebank Market if you're in and around Johannesburg. Speaking to Khanyi Thonjeni from Centered Wick with her range of candles, which can make a perfect gift, especially with Christmas coming up.